PS4 was being really dumb. I'll have to check Twitch to see if things improved. So, did it get back on? Okay. Yep, it's working now. That's the first time that ever happened. Yeah, I don't have the best internet connection. Oh, what the heck? Are you kidding me? God damn it. You guys suck. Ugh. That. The one time when I actually have a little more to say as I'm streaming, I start having problems. Oh my god. One down. And Navarin's skull. Sometimes it appears pretty early.
Just you, alone in the vast wilderness.
What are you on about?
The lone wanderer searching the world. What's he trying to find? Love? Absolution?
Try someone with a strong arm and stronger will to fight Darkspawn.
Yes, but what does that represent?
Wanting to kill more Darkspawn.
You're just like Sebastian.
Oh, poor choir boy. I will defend Sebastian. Not to the death. I like him enough that despite what little content for him didn't really end up getting through because the Exalted March expansion was cancelled, I'm fine with what little we have of him. Yeah. It was like the last time I was doing this, I was quiet at several points, and that was the perfect opportunity for banter. And no banter was triggering. But then now, when I have more to say, everyone's talking. Yeah, the Navarin skull sometimes appears kind of early on. It's supposed to be for, I think it's the Necromancer specialization if you're playing a... No, playing a mage. Sorry. No. I'm playing a rogue right now. I think I was... build instead. Alright, I need to get rid of these guys. They're pissing me off. Hopefully, when I get my own gaming PC, some of these tech problems will go away. So I know there at one point, I think a few seconds of my previous stream cut out. But good thing I'm just doing this for shits and giggles and I'm not doing this as a professional or anything. Yeah, Origins did come with all the DLC, but maybe Dragon Age 2 just didn't have that version because it got enough backlash and people hated it enough. Which is understandable. And also, I don't blame if anyone skips over Sebastian. I don't mind him, but he doesn't really add much to Dragon Age 2. Alright, I need to stop using this. This was a bad place to get ambushed. Yeah, I could probably do this as a professional. I'm not stable enough financially. And if I were to do this professionally, I need to find a way to, again, get some kind of audience. And I personally don't think I have the charisma to pull any of that off. Alright, why landmarks? I don't care about landmarks. Oh, right, it hasn't appeared yet. But I think it's in this general area still. The mage hideout. Yep, here it is.
I sense magical energies ahead. The mages cannot be far.
That actually is pretty useful. Using points to get DLC. I'm thinking for this run, I might specialize as an assassin? I don't know, when I played as an assassin it was really fun. I haven't really gotten to handle the Tempest specialization very well to use it to its full potential. Alright, Solace. Eric. Sometimes just investing all these passive abilities gets you some just minor stat boosts. Should have gotten an ice staff. This is gonna take forever. I know. Yeah, it didn't really do much. I wish Vivienne were here. There we go. Yeah, that DLC... That's part of the reason why I don't like pre-ordering games or buying games right off the bat. It's because it ends up being more expensive in the long term. Especially with Inquisition. I bought this for the PlayStation 3 first, because I didn't have my PlayStation 4 yet. And then once I got my job, and I had enough money, I bought my PS4. And I bought Inquisition along with it. And I got the Game of the Year edition. Well, do we have enough potions? Barely. And so, although I did still end up spending a lot of money for Inquisition, at least Game of the Year saved me additional money I would have wasted. So with Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, I probably ended up hurting myself in the long term by just pre-ordering it. Because depending on how much DLC is going to be coming out.
With these apostates dead, the refugees should be safer on the King's Road.
Yeah, that is true. One thing that I've tried to do on some of my runs is I've tried to stay out of some regions, so I only have to go to them like maybe once, if not twice. Because right here, there's an area here where you get some treasure, some loot, when you complete side mission for, completing those like constellation puzzles. Which I could have done, but I've decided not to do so this time. I've gotten to the point in Inquisition where I've played it enough times and I know what I'm doing, that I don't need to snag every bonus that comes along the way. Because sometimes even with all those bonuses, I still end up struggling in the DLC segments. I'll go here. I have gotten a little bit better with crafting, though. Alright, so everything is back up. Yeah, I ended up crafting a lot on hard mode, on my hard mode runs, so I finally understood how crafting worked a lot better. Even though I spent most of my time just doing that for armor. So basically what I am going to do is I'm basically just going to go to Redcliffe Village, cue all those cutscenes, and I'm going to jump to my one save file where I'm about to start in Hush Whispers, just to bypass some of the side content stuff. Mainly because I just don't want to be running around for 2 hours.
Can find some way to help these people.
I don't want to run around for 2 hours doing all sorts of boring side missions and getting... Yeah, at least I find it boring when you do too much of it. Yeah, I don't need that. No, Sarah needs that. No. Sometimes I have to double check to make sure if there's any upgrades or attachments to any of my items that I put in the valuable section. Because I have a bad habit of hoarding all these pieces to add to... all these upgrades and pieces to add to equipment and armor. And weapons. Also around here, we need to talk to Vivienne. There's a book to pick up for her, to gain approval for her. I did that in the other file. It's one of the several things I did for about 3 hours. It probably shouldn't take 3 hours on average, but sometimes I do take my time. And sometimes I take my time just so banter can trigger. Oh, it makes a weird... So those portals make a weird bubbling sound. That's kinda gross. There's a lot of sounds I never picked up on if I didn't put on my headset. Oh! Ugh, I just barely got out of its range. Stop targeting me! Ugh. Thanks for the slowed. Alright, let's close this thing.
Bandits, demons, mages, and Templars. The refugees are in dire need of help.
I know, Solus. What do you think I was doing in my other file? Well, technically it's still this file, it's in another save slot. One thing I'm hoping for with Andromeda is that the open world aspect of it will be handled a little bit better than it is here. Although I still admire BioWare for trying with Inquisition, because there's a lot of nice little details.
Redcliffe Village should be just ahead.
I want a constant watch on that damn thing. Sound the alarm at the first sign of demons.
This is one little thing I did like about the portal. There are places where your attacks just speed up, and I like that. Of course it gets a bit crowded, because everybody's huddling towards it. There is a plot reason for this, of course. Honestly, I'm hoping that it is a good thing that BioWare's gonna try to make sure Andromeda's not too much like Inquisition. Although I have heard that there is crafting, still. Although I'm thinking it might be a more simplified version, because Mass Effect is much more simplified in its gameplay compared to Dragon Age. Yeah, fair enough. It's good to be defensive and cautious. In fact, even though I've been waiting for Andromeda for quite a while, I have mostly kept myself in the dark about a lot of details.
What was that?
I think we could have skipped these things getting weirder, don't you?
Well, it is the Inquisitor story, after all, Varric.
Make her have mercy. It's over. Open the gates.
There we go. Yeah, I think with the crafting in Andromeda, it's more of like adding little bonuses to your guns, mostly. So I don't think it's going to be as extensive as in this game, for instance, where there's a lot of different things for each weapon and equipment,
We
etc.
spread word the Inquisition was coming, but you should know that no one here was expecting us.
No one? Not even Grand Enchanter Fiona?
If she was, she hasn't told anyone. We've arranged use of the tavern for the negotiations.
Agents of the Inquisition, my apologies. Magister Alexius is in charge now, but hasn't yet arrived. He's expected shortly. You can speak with the former Grand Enchanter in the meantime.
The Veil is weaker here than in Haven. And not merely weak, but altered in a way I have not seen.
Foreshadowing? Yeah. The PS3 version does not have all of these characters roaming around. In fact, there's a lot fewer people rendered.
Grandmother, I think we should go.
You know, like...
Look at that old thing. I'm surprised it's still standing.
Like, this is supposedly I think this is the same windmill that you go through when you're trying to investigate Redcliffe in Origins, but the whole general layout is so different. Because, I mean, it's still similar enough to Origins, the layout, that it's not a serious problem. It's just there's a lot of there's just a lot of differences that just pile up so that you really notice the differences. Also, I think in Origins there was a building like around this general area, but there isn't.
They've been driven away or killed.
See? What did I tell you? It's not just that. I heard about
Thing is, I generally trust BioWare, it's just I don't trust EA. And it sucks because EA has The Sims hostage and they have BioWare hostage.
No man needs statues so great as those who are toppled in these hills.
Although I have not bought The Sims 4. Usually I buy The Sims after a couple years have passed when my computer is more likely to handle it. Because the timing of all the games is usually when my computer is too old and it just doesn't work as well. And so I have the feeling that The Sims 4 won't really work on my laptop, which is fine, because nothing has convinced me that The Sims 4 is worth buying. And as for like BioWare, again, I trust them, I just don't trust EA. Because I know EA is going to be meddling and telling them to throw stuff in. That's not going to be particularly good.
Of course. Either way, we're safe. But look at the
Actually, do I have the right people? I kind of want to bring Vivian along because she and Fiona just don't get along.
I talked to one of the rebel mages, and she said it sounded like the dream she had.
Oh, there are a lot of people to blame for Mass Effect 3's... Mass Effect 3 was just a giant freaking mess. The lead writer left, and then supposedly the two writing teams, one for the main game and then one for the ending. It was just a recipe for disaster. It was bad. Whereas, that was around the time when I wanted to get my PlayStation 3, and I was following Mass Effect. I'm like, this series has to be so good if people are this pissed off at the ending.
What has brought you to Redcliffe?
We're here because of your invitation back in Val Royeaux.
You must be mistaken. I haven't been to Val Royeaux since before the Conclave.
Well, that's very strange, because someone who looked exactly like you spoke to me in Val Royeaux.
Exactly like me? I suppose it could be magic at work, but why would anyone...
I don't know, maybe
Whoever-
because there's
whatever brought you
Tevinter
here?
people
The situation
here.
has changed. The Free Mages have already pledged themselves to the service of the Tevinter Imperium.
Andraste's ass. I'm trying to think of a single worse thing you could have done, and I've got nothing.
I understand that you are afraid, but you deserve better than slavery to Tevinter.
As one indentured to a Magister, I no longer have the authority to negotiate with you.
But yeah, Mass Effect 3 is still my favorite game in the trilogy, because despite the ending, everything else about the game is so good. Although,
An alliance with Tevinter is a terrible mistake.
the writing does have hiccups
All
now and
hope
then.
of peace died with Justinia. This bargain with Tevinter would not have been my first choice, but we had no choice.
I never had the chance to
We
play
are
Mass Effect
losing
3's
this war.
multiplayer.
I needed to save as many of my people as I could.
I tried to do it with a friend of mine before, but we couldn't get it to work.
Welcome, my friends. I apologize for not greeting you earlier.
Agents of the Inquisition, allow me to introduce Magister Girion Alexius.
Oh yeah, fuck
The
Kai
Southern
Lang.
Mages are under my command. And you are the survivor, yes? The one from the Fade? Interesting.
Please just come across as more evil in that
I haven't
cutscene,
seen any
please.
sign of Redcliffe's Arl or his men.
The Arl of Redcliffe left the village.
Left? An Arl would never voluntarily leave his seat.
There were tensions growing. I did not want an incident.
AKA, you probably forced him out.
I'd like to know more about this alliance between the rebel mages and the Imperium.
Certainly. What specifically do you wish to know?
The Grand Enchanter told me she was indentured to a Magister.
Our southern brethren have no legal status in the Imperium. As they were not born citizens of Tevinter, they must work for a period of 10 years before gaining full rights. As their protector, I shall oversee their work for the Imperium.
I'm not clear on when exactly you negotiated this arrangement with Fiona.
When the Conclave was destroyed, these poor souls faced the brutality of the Templars, who rushed to attack them. It could only be through divine providence that I arrived when I did.
It was certainly very timely.
You're quite a long way from Tevinter, Alexius.
Indeed I am, though I have heard you are no Ferelden either. It seems we are both strangers here.
Strangers in a strange land. I always think of that 30 Seconds to Mars song.
Felix, would you send for a scribe, please? Pardon my manners. My son Felix, friends.
I like Felix, even though he's not around too
here.
often.
Containing the breaches
Not around for very long.
Many could even attempt. There is no telling how many mages would be needed for such an endeavor. Ambitious indeed.
Well, when you're fighting a massive tear in the sky, you can hardly afford to think small.
There will have to be.
I don't really blame anyone who couldn't complete Mass Effect 3. It was such a giant mess of a game.
Felix.
All the DLC did help
I'm so sorry.
significantly,
Please forgive my
but
clumsiness,
the damage
my lady.
was done from the initial launch.
I'm fine, Father.
Come, I'll get your powders. Please excuse me, friends. We will have to continue this another time.
Yeah, my
Fiona,
big love,
I require your assistance back at the castle.
my biggest love, aside from video
I don't
games,
mean
is
to
music.
trouble everyone.
Even though I tried playing an instrument, but I'm not
I
particularly
shall send
good.
word to the Inquisition. We will conclude this business at a later date.
From the brief combat I've seen for Andromeda, it looks more like Mass Effect 1 in some ways, but I don't know.
Chantry, you are in danger.
It's not as over the shoulder as in Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Ooh, very mysterious.
There's no telling who or what will be waiting for us in that chantry.
Only one way to find out.
I think Mass Effect 3's gameplay was the best in the trilogy.
We'll make good use of
Although there are...
We don't need your kind.
Oh my god, these glitches.
By another
Oh my frickin' god.
Tevinter's as big a threat as the Templars. You're better off with the Inquisition.
Right. And I'm the Empress of Orlais.
This is so bad.
Magister Alexius does not approve of those without magic like you and me. You may not wish to stay long. Many villagers have already left to escape his ire.
Even this tavern doesn't look like a tavern from Origins, although we could probably think that it was rebuilt after the fight.
What does the Magister have against you?
He does not like to be reminded of what mages can become. He says all tranquil must leave.
I am disappointed that there was no joke of, like, no one suspected the Inquisition. Although I think the developers stated that they used up all those jokes when they were making this.
Talent for magic was insufficient to protect me from
Now, there probably is a reference somewhere, but I just don't stumble into it very often.
Removed my connection to the Fade. My magic is gone, along with my dreams and desires. Those now in Redcliffe prefer not to see us.
How long have the Tevinters been here?
Magister Alexius arrived at nightfall, 2 days after we retreated from the Temple of Sacred Ashes. He forced anyone without magic out of the castle, save those he required to serve him. Even the Arl was sent away.
Farewell, then.
One moment. You are a member of...
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
I am an alchemist. You must require potions.
Yeah, the side quests in Mass Effect 3 were not the best. Were not the best part.
We would be delighted to have you working.
Like, the main story works despite, again, some writing hiccups. The side quests I hated the most were the ones related to the, were basically introducing multiplayer maps. So, like, the ones where trainers, like, oh, hey, I intercepted this message, and it seems like we need to go here. I'm like, okay. But nothing really is going to come out of it except a few war assets. But yeah, I'm a little more familiar with the lore of Mass Effect compared to Dragon Age because I've been playing Mass Effect since the summer of 2012 when I got my PS3 for my high school graduation present. Well, not just scan the planets, it's also the, hey, let's walk by this person in the Citadel and eavesdrop. Oops. Alright, I need to stop playing around with my mic. Omega's probably my least favorite DLC for Mass Effect. Alright. So I'm gonna head off to the Chantry to say hello to Dorian, and then I'm gonna switch my file. Because I also spoke with Connor,
You're from the Inquisition.
who does appear.
I didn't think you'd still be here. Were you really looking to ally with us?
I want this war to end without sending you back to the Circle.
Yep, I'm pro-mage. Now we can definitely fight over which side's in the right, mages or Templars.
We just want to be normal, have families, use our magic to help grow crops or something. We never wanted war. What choice did we have? Stay and be slaves?
Sometimes to achieve the world one desires, one must take regrettable measures.
I hope you
God damn it, Sola, stop dropping hints.
Tying ourselves to Tevinter. That can't be the right way to end this.
I have the first 3 Mass Effect books. I don't have the 4th one.
You don't approve of the Grand Enchanter's decision?
I was there when we voted to leave the Circle.
The one thing I do like about the Mass Effect novels is that you don't really need to read them in order to get anything that happens in the trilogy. But Dragon Age, however, it's like, you can still play the games without reading any of the books, but particularly with Inquisition, a lot of details just get missing, or they just go over your head because you didn't read the books. Hence why I'm reading the Masked Empire just to understand what the fuck's going on with the Orlesian Civil War.
I sing the charm, but I'll be locked up for the rest of my life.
How long has Magister Alexius been here?
A day or two after. After the Conclave, he arrived. Come to save us from the wrath of the Templars, they said. But this doesn't feel like safety.
Take care of yourself. There's something strange going on.
I never thought the Grand Enchanter would swear to a Magister.
Alright. Here we go. Even the location of the Chantry. You know what? I'm done nitpicking about the layout. I'm done. I give up. Time for Dorian. If I was playing as a dude, I'd probably romance him. Ugh, more cramped spaces. Why? Where is that? Is her speeding up? Yeah, there's one right here, right? Yep. Oh dear, something's gonna spawn right here. Yeah, Varric? Good. Just wondering if you weren't attacking. I will be happy that there will be no approval system in Mass Effect Andromeda, since that's mostly a Dragon Age thing. I've grown to appreciate the approval system in Dragon Age, but I like playing Mass Effect so that there is no approval stuff to worry about.
Fascinating. How does that work exactly? You don't even know, do you? You just wiggle your fingers and boom. Rift closes.
Who are you?
Ah, getting ahead of myself again, I see. Dorian of House Parvus, most recently of Minrathous. How do you do? Magister Alexius was once my mentor, so my assistance should be valuable, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I believe Dorian's name is a reference to the book, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, I believe.
I was expecting Felix to be here.
And his last name, Pavus, I think, translates to peacock, which makes sense.
Alexius couldn't jump to Felix's side fast enough when he pretended to be faint. Is something wrong with him?
He's had some lingering illness for months. Felix is an only child, and Alexius is being a mother hen, most likely.
Are you a Magister?
All right, let's say this once. I'm a mage from Tevinter, but not a member of the Magisterium. I know Southerners use the terms interchangeably, but that only makes you sound like barbarians.
Of course we're barbarians compared to you guys.
You're betraying your mentor because...
Alexius was my mentor. Meaning he's not any longer, not for some time. Look, you must know there's danger. That should be obvious even without the note. Let's start with Alexius claiming the allegiance of the mage rebels out from under you. As if by magic, yes? Which is exactly right. To reach Redcliffe, before the Inquisition, Alexius distorted time itself.
And this is where the plot really just starts to lose me. Like, time travel? Really? Are you kidding me?
I hope that's less dangerous than it sounds.
More? That is fascinating if true, and almost certainly dangerous.
The rift you closed here. You saw how it twisted time around itself, sped some things up and slowed others down. Soon, there will be more like it, and they'll appear further and further away from Redcliffe. The magic Alexius is using is wildly unstable, and it's unraveling the world.
This is where Champions of the Just does have a better story.
You're asking me to take a lot on faith.
I know what I'm talking about. I helped develop this magic.
At least Champions of the Just, it has
it was pure theory.
It doesn't involve a plot device that gets screwed up so often in so many stories.
Ripping time to shreds just to gain
Plus, it just seems like that Dragon Age is kind of jumping the shark a little bit, or at least it's trying to go in that direction.
Is he getting suspicious?
No, but I shouldn't have played the illness card. I thought he'd be fussing over me all day. My father's joined a cult, Tevinter Supremacists. They call themselves Venatori. And I can tell you one thing. Whatever he's done for them, he's done it to get to you.
Alexius is your father. Why are you working against him?
For the same reason Dorian works against him. I love my father, and I love my country. But this? Cults? Time magic? What he's doing now is madness. For his own sake, you have to stop him.
It would also
Plus,
be
with
nice
introducing this, it makes me wonder if time travel magic has been developed before. It had to have been.
Why would he rearrange
I don't
time
know.
and indenture the Mage Rebellion just to get to me?
They're obsessed with you, but I don't know why. Perhaps because you survived the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
You can close the rifts. Maybe there's a connection. or they see you as a threat.
If the Venatori are behind those rifts or the breach in the sky, they're even worse than I thought.
All this for me. And here I didn't get Alexius anything.
Send him a fruit basket. Everyone loves those. You know you're his target. Expecting the trap is the first step in turning it to your advantage. I can't stay in Redcliffe. Alexius doesn't know I'm here, and I want to keep it that way for now. But whenever you're ready to deal with him, I want to be there. I'll be in touch. Oh, and Felix, try not to get yourself killed.
There are worse things than dying, Dorian.
Okay. Tower shield. I don't care about these landmarks. Yeah, I'll just get to this just to make that thing go away. Sometimes I do read some of the codex entries. I think that one I just picked up, The Troubles of a Chantry Scholar. I think it talks about Brother Genitivi discussing how he's encountered so many things in his travels that a lot of things he believes he took for granted don't really apply universally. And so sometimes that's allowed him to believe in unusual and strange things. It's kind of little details like that. It makes me appreciate the writing in these games. The dragons... There's like about 10 dragons in this game to fight.
Really
Souls just fell from the sky.
They have torn open time itself. So no, I doubt they truly need a cult as well.
There's about 10 dragons in this game. Usually I fight all 10 of them because I enjoy fighting them. The gameplay's kind of fun. They're kind of difficult, but not entirely. I usually fight them near the end of the game, so I don't have to worry about all these difficulty curves or anything. Alright, here we are. Time to jump ahead. And thus we bypass about maybe 2 hours of running around, collecting more stuff, conversing. It doesn't really do all that much. I also kind of want to give one of the trials a shot. I believe it was rub some dirt on it. I want to give myself a little more challenge. And I completed some more War Tales stuff. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Trials. I believe that's what the trophy was. Rub some dirt on it. Yeah. If not, I can always go back later to get the trophy. I'm also not entirely too big on trophies, although I think I've got the majority of them from this game. I think the whole choose successor and lead us makes a lot more sense after reading The Masked Empire.
Nothing to do with fairness. We simply can't accommodate them if they bring that many servants.
I will speak to the Duchess. She can be reasoned with, after a fashion.
Because I know that Leadus was mentioned several times in The Masked Empire.
We don't have the manpower to take the castle. Either we find another way in, or give up this nonsense and go and get the Templars.
Redcliffe is in the hands of a Magister. This cannot be allowed to stand. The letter from Alexius asked for the Herald of Andraste by name. It's an obvious trap.
We can't waste time fighting among ourselves. We have to come to an agreement.
A Tevinter Magister controls Redcliffe, invites us to the castle to talk, and some of us want to do nothing.
Not this again.
Redcliffe Castle is one of the most defensible fortresses in Ferelden. It has repelled thousands of assaults. If you go in there, you'll die. And we'll lose the only means we have of closing these rifts. I won't allow it.
And if we don't even try to meet Alexius, we lose the mages, and leave a hostile foreign power on our doorstep.
Even if we could assault the keep, it would be for naught. An Orlesian Inquisition's army marching into Ferelden would provoke a war. Our hands are tied.
The Magister
has outplayed us.
We can't just give up. There has to be something we can do.
We cannot accept defeat now. There must be a solution.
I don't know how the conversation goes if you pick any of the other two options.
A watercourse, something.
There's nothing I know of that would work.
Wait. There is a secret passage into the castle, an escape route for the family. It's too narrow for our troops, but we could send agents through.
Too risky. Those agents will be discovered well before they reach the Magister.
That's why we need a distraction. Perhaps the envoy Alexius wants so badly.
While they're focused on Llewellyn, we break the Magister's defenses. It could work, but it's a huge risk.
Oh, it was travel light.
Fortunately,
oh well.
You'll have help.
This man says he has information about the Magister and his methods, Commander.
Hi, Dorian.
Your spies will never get past Alexius's magic without my help. So if you're going after him, I'm coming along.
The plan puts you in the most danger. We can't in good conscience order you to do this. We can still go after the Templars if you'd rather not play the bait. It's up to you.
And then have to deal with a demon? No. Alright, I'm gonna switch. And then I'll go straight to the mission I want to switch. Alright. Time to switch. It's not that. It's travel light, I believe. Thank you, Wiki, for being a good reference. Alright, for real. We're doing in Hush Whispers.
Has Cassandra spoken to you about my new recruits?
They are not your recruits, Commander. They're ours.
Please stop bickering. I don't have time for this. So with what companions I bring, I usually bring the ones who will lose the most disapproval. Who will lose the most approval. So usually I bring Iron Bull and Sarah. Though I think this time I'll just stick with Bull and Solus. Yeah, it covers all the bases. Okay. Redcliffe Castle also looks different.
Announce us.
The Magister's invitation was for Mistress Llewellyn and no one else. You lot wait here.
This reminds me a lot of that recruitment mission for Jack.
You wouldn't deprive me of
Where
my
it's like,
attaches.
Shepard, leave your gun here. And Shepard's like, no, I'm keeping my gun. And there's a stare down, like, oh, fine, have your way. That's Celestia look more like a hobo than usual. I do like the design of the Venatori in this game, since the Tevinter didn't really have a set design for them for their clothing in Origins or Dragon Age 2.
My Lord Magister, the agents of the Inquisition have arrived.
My friend, it's so good to see you again. And your associates, of course. I'm sure we can work out some arrangement that is equitable to all parties.
Are we mages to have no voice in deciding our fate?
Fiona, you would not have turned your followers over to my care if you did not trust me with their lives.
If the Grand Enchanter wants to be part of these talks, then I welcome her as a guest of the Inquisition.
Thank you.
Yeah, give Fiona some amount of dignity, considering she did not make a very smart decision in this.
The Inquisition needs mages to close the breach, and I have them. So, what shall you offer in exchange?
This is a good point for when you have Sarah, you could just completely just go, like, I know you want me dead, or they go, I'm just gonna spit in your face, Alexius.
That, I marvel that you chose to come anyway.
She knows everything, Father.
Felix, what have you done?
We made sure to disarm your trap before we came in. I hope you don't mind.
I've yet to see your cleverness, I'm afraid.
I think Felix's voice actor is the same that voices a Templar that left Kirkwall in Trespasser, where he's helping the Kunari.
You're nothing but a mistake.
If you know so much, enlighten me. Tell me what this mark on my hand is for.
It belongs to your betters. You wouldn't even begin to understand its purpose.
Father, listen to yourself. Do you know what you sound like?
He sounds exactly like the sort of villainous cliché everyone expects us to be.
Dorian, I gave you a chance to be a part of this. You turned me down. The Elder One has power you would not believe. He will raise the Imperium from its own ashes.
Blah, blah. My cult is better than yours. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Well, you know, it's a chance for the Imperium to really one-up that whole starting the Blight thing.
He will make the world
Really, just from day one, I always kind of found Tevinter to be fascinating. And the involvement of the Venatori helps
You can't involve my people in
this game.
Alexius, this is exactly what you and I talked about never wanting to happen. Why would you support this?
Stop it, Father. Give up the Venatori. Let the Southern Mages fight the breach, and let's go home.
No, it's the only way, Felix. He can save you.
Save me?
There is a way. The Elder One promised, if I undo the mistake at the temple.
I'm going to die. You need to accept that.
Seize them, Venatori. The Elder One demands this woman's life.
Not as dramatic as the Red Wedding, but...
Your men are dead, Alexius.
You are a mistake. You should never have existed.
No! Well, then go back in time and completely undo the Inquisitor's existence. That would have saved you a lot of time and energy, dude. The one downside to going within Hushed Whispers is that some of the details about the Venatori just don't really appear again in much detail throughout the rest of the game. That's another point in the favor of Champions of the Just.
Blood of the Elder One. Where'd they come from?
Also, you don't get Calpurnia in this route. Instead, you get the Templar stuff and Samson. I don't really understand the appeal of Samson other than he's voiced by Gideon Emery. I mean, I like Gideon Emery, but not that much. Alright. when this is done, I am going to upgrade Dorian's abilities. There we go.
Displacement. Interesting. It's probably not what Alexius intended. The rift must have moved us to what? The closest confluence of arcane energy?
The last thing I remember, we were in the castle hall.
Let's see. If we're still in the castle, it isn't. Oh, of course, it's not simply where, it's when. Alexius used the amulet as a focus. It moved us through time.
Did we go forward in time or back, and how far?
Those are excellent questions. We'll have to find out, won't we? Let's look around, see where the rift took us. Then we can figure out how to get back. If we can.
There were others in the hall. Could they have been drawn through the rift?
I doubt it was large enough to bring the whole room through. Alexius wouldn't risk catching himself or Felix in it. They're probably still where and when we left them. In some sense, anyway.
Alexius mentioned an Elder One in the hall. Do you know who he was talking about?
Leader of the Venatori, I suspect. Some magister aspiring to godhood. It's the same old tune. Let's play with magic we don't understand. It will make us incredibly powerful. Evidently, it doesn't
I
matter
love
if
you,
rip
Dorian.
apart the fabric of time in the process.
And what happens if we can't get back?
Then we get comfortable in our new present.
Comforting. Very comforting. Well, at least in my experience, Dorian is kind of on the fragile side. Like, it's like no matter how I try to level him up, he's not that sturdy in combat. It kind of sucks. But I do end up using him the most when I'm not playing as a mage. Alright, let's see how the game is when when it's travel light. I'm probably gonna get a few extra bonuses. Just the whole atmosphere of this mission is really great. And I wonder why the red lyrium just spread so far so quickly. Well. Although I also do wonder how
Alexius
large...
has made a dreadful mess of this place, hasn't he?
I didn't see this part of the castle.
It was covered in the tackiest carvings of wolves and dogs I'd ever seen. This is not an improvement.
The Ferelden do love their dogs. But yeah, I really wonder how large the Titans must be in order for Red Lyrium to appear not just simply in Kirkwall, at least in that general area of the Free Marches, but also to reach as far south as the Temple of Sacred Ashes. Unless it has something to do with the whole plot of what Corypheus has and maybe even the orb to a certain extent. Although I think it was stated that they are manufacturing red lyrium and getting enough material that they are able to kind of make it spread to people at the very least, but maybe to other places as well. Oh no. Poor kid.
My tears are my sins, my sins, my sins. Andraste, guide me, Andraste, guide me.
Lisas. Hello? Do you remember me?
Andraste blessed me, Andraste blessed me.
Poor kid. Yeah, if you talked to him and I believe Connor before you started this mission, then you do see them again here. It's a nice little detail, as I like. Actually, do I have anything in the inventory for Dorian to use? Not really. Accessory? No. Sorry, Dorian, you're quite out of luck, but at least you have a few extra abilities to help you stand for a little while. I've never managed to jump off of here. Oh, get away from me. Yeah, I've never reached the point where I accidentally jump off a cliff in this. Alright. This is gonna be... well... alright. Also, I don't usually switch between characters all that often. I did in hard mode because of my tactics had to change to accommodate the higher difficulty curve. I mean, I know that's the same way of saying, like, water is wet, but... if I remember correctly... who was on this side? Alright, it was, I know who's here. I wonder why the Amel crest is just sitting here in Redcliffe when the Amels were a noble family in the Free Marches. Kind of weird.
Alive. I saw you disappear into the rift.
Fiona, is that really you?
What's left of me?
Can you tell us the date? It's very important.
Harvest Mir. 942 Dragon.
942? Then we've missed an entire year.
We have to get out of here. Go back in time.
This is one of the few times where the exact date, well, not exact date, but what general time it is during the game.
Powerful than the Maker. No one challenges him and lives.
There's a lot of details about how time is kept in the world of Dragon Age, but it's all kind of reserved to Codex entries.
Should be memorable.
Our only hope is to find the amulet that Alexius used to send us here. If it still exists, I can use it to reopen the rift at the exact spot we left. Maybe.
Good.
I said, maybe. It might also turn us into paste.
Ever the optimist.
Try. Your spy master, Leliana. She is here. Find her. Quickly. Before the Elder One learns you're here.
The design of the elves is rather strange in this game. Because elves in Origins basically look like small humans.
Maker, why is it coming out of the walls?
Are you sure you want to find out?
In Origins, they basically look like shorter people. In Dragon Age 2, they're a lot thinner. But also the bridges of their noses look really bizarre, too.
300 bottles of beer on the wall.
Poor Bull. I'll get you later. Sorry, Bull.
Take one down, pass it around.
Sorry, Bull. I love you, but not that much. Usually there's at least something in each area, and I just pick them up. Yeah, nothing really interesting. Position.
Is someone there?
Elves kind of have a mix of looking kind of human-like, but then also having the Dragon Age 2 thinness, and some of them do have the weird nose. It's a fair compromise, I guess. Still looks kind of weird.
You're alive. We saw you die.
The spell Alexius cast displaced us in time. We just got here, so to speak.
Can you reverse the process? You could return and obviate the events of the last year. It may not be too late.
You look bad. Is there anything I can do to help?
I am dying, but no matter. If you can undo this, they can all be saved.
But you know nothing of this world. It is far worse than you understand. Alexius served a master, the Elder One. He reigns now unchallenged. His minions assassinated Empress Selene and used the chaos to invade the south. You must be prepared.
We can't do this without you.
If there is any hope, any way to save them, my life is yours. This world is an abomination. It must never come to pass.
Yet another plot point that also somewhat confuses me. The insistence that with Empress Selene's death, assassination, it brings everyone to chaos. Okay, considering the events of the masked empire, the nobles were so incompetent and so busy bickering over the stupidest crap that even if she wasn't, Theodos is in no state to stop anything that's happening right now.
You're not dead. You're supposed to be dead. There was a burn on the ground and everything.
Alexius didn't kill us. His spell sent us through time. This is our future.
Well, it's my present, and in my past, I definitely saw you both die.
Poor
Are you
Bull.
alright? You don't look so good.
Red lyrium. If I'm lucky, it'll kill me. If not, I'm hoping I die fighting.
You're dying.
No, he's not. If we find Alexius, we go back and none of this will happen. Remember?
Kill Alexius. Sounds good. Let's go.
I think it's amusing that Bull is basically... he hates all things that are magic.
Vince say he locked himself in.
Well, not hates in the same way like Fenris hates magic, but hates in the way of, oh, I don't understand this shit. Like, give me something to hit. I don't care if it's magical or not. Just give me something to hit. I don't understand this crap. He really does not take the events of Here Lies the Abyss very well. Although, I think a lot of the companions just don't take that entire plot very well. Poor Cole's like having a panic attack throughout the whole thing. Also, point in Hush Whispers, because Dorian is a much better companion than Cole is in this instance. Like, it's good. Like, Cole is good for what he does in a story sense, but Dorian's pretty fun in a gameplay sense.
We may not have much time. Let's find the Magister quickly.
Like, I really get the sense that, at least with my headcanon, that I do get the sense that spending time with Dorian like this really lets you kind of see, in case, like, how he and the Inquisitor just really get along really well. But that's mainly because I go out of my way to befriend Dorian. So how are we doing? Ugh, not doing too good with potions. Bull is really gonna eat all of them up. This is gonna be really hard. Yeah, because Travel Light, I think, completely gets rid of the potion. Yeah, because I don't see any anywhere. Let's see how this goes. Something tells me this is not going to work out very well, but I'm going to keep trying regardless. Worst case, I might have to take control of Solus at some point. Because usually I can... if I can keep Solus alive, I think we'll be doing... I think I'll be fine. Because mages are really the only characters that can help revive companions that get knocked out. Another little sound detail is that you can hear some of the enemies muttering. It's like with the Venator, you hear chanting. It's kind of spooky. And so I'm hearing a little bit of that right now.
There is no maker. The
Although
other
there's
one
this
has
as
taken
well.
all that is his and will
still doesn't make him a god.
Ah! There is no god but the Elder One. The Maker is dead. Say it.
Never. I'll die a good Andrastian before living a second as one of you.
One thing I do admire, I do admire people that stand up for what they believe in, even if it ends up killing them. Dang it, Bull, can you be more competent in a fight?
The Elder One does not suffer rivals of any kind.
I do wonder why the Elder One was chosen as a title, or a nickname of sorts. It's probably a Venatori terminology.
Tell me how Lavella knew of the sacrifice at the temple.
Never.
There's no...
The conversation could go on a little bit longer, but I kind of get through this.
You will break.
I will die first. Or you will.
Way to go, Liliana. I don't think it's really explained why she looks like that. Maybe it's just from all the torture and stress.
You're safe now. Forget safe. If you came back from the dead, you need to do better than safe. You need to end this. Do you have weapons? Good. The Magister's probably in his chambers.
You aren't curious how we got here?
No.
Considering how you explain things, Dorian, I don't blame her.
His victory, his Elder One, it was never meant to be.
I'm so sorry for everything you suffered.
We have to reverse his spell. If we can get back to our present time, we can prevent this future from ever happening.
And mages always wonder why people fear them. No one should have this power.
It's dangerous and unpredictable. Before the breach, nothing we did.
Enough. This is all pretend to you. Some future you hope will never exist. I suffered. The whole world suffered. It was real.
Good point, Liliana.
What happened while we were away?
Stop talking.
I'm just asking for information.
No, you're talking to fill silence. Nothing happened that you want to hear.
Well, having Liliana around might help me survive a little bit longer. Okay, that's a little freaky.
We need to find Alexius. I'm sure he'll be in the nicer part of the castle, if there is one.
I doubt there is a nicer part to the castle, Dorian. Alright. At least I'm going through these enemies rather quickly. Bull, I would highly appreciate it if you use guard more often. This will save you a lot of trouble later. Cripes a la mode. Alright, here we go. It's always nice when occasionally you get 2 of these. Gets a few extra bonuses. Not a big fan of this little turning thing right here. Pressing and holding. I kind of miss Mass Effect 1's, you know, hacking mini games. It kind of helped bypass some of this stuff. So you're not so much as waiting.
Needs more power for his rituals.
No! Let me, Linnea.
Yeah. Oh god. It's like Dragon Age 2 all over again. Like, we're in a desperate situation, we have to do this, and they resort to blood magic and demon summoning and whatnot.
Why does
Guys,
everything they do with magic have to be so creepy?
yeah, it's like, guys, this isn't Megami Tensei. Because at least in Megami Tensei, it's the end of the world and everyone's doing it, and that's the only way to survive. In Dragon Age, you just get... you're just an idiot. And then you get yourself killed faster. Alright, nothing else around here. I'm so used to just having these supply caches around to pick stuff up. Alright, this is gonna get really tricky.
The breach, it's...
Everywhere. The veil is shattered. There is no boundary now between the world and the fate.
It is a little creepy. Considering what the real big bad's plans are, I'm wondering if this is what really is going to happen, if the real big bad's plans actually end up working, or if this is just a half-assed attempt at kind of implying it, but the real actual destruction and disaster will actually have happened in a much more extreme fashion. I am well aware that I am not going too deep into spoilers and whatnot, even though I'm already spoiling a good chunk of stuff. But I like having a little bit of restraint. Yeah, that is kind of creepy. That is very creepy. This is gonna be brutal. How many left? 2. Dang it, guys. And it's not like they're regaining health either. What I've learned is that, depending on your difficulty, after a fight, some of your companions might regain health or they won't. They regain about some of their health on easy and on casual and normal, but not on hard mode. Oh, that's slow. Nope. And so this is a case where the difficulty is more customized, and so I think for this, maybe because of the trials I'm using, they decided to just go, you know what, no, not gonna bother with giving you extra health at the end of a fight. That fast area thing probably wasn't going to be very helpful in general. Yeah, I have 2 mages and they can't get their barriers up properly. Probably should have leveled them up. Better. No. It's only appearing there because their health is low. Alright.
No!
It was an act of courage. He knew there was no other way to resist. He resisted that demon to the last.
Sometimes those prompts just don't appear, and it's a little frustrating. Like, there's one before this mission where you talk to Connor at the docks. There is an opportunity to interject in the conversation before you speak with him directly, but I have never managed to get that dialogue to trigger properly, because as soon as it appears to press R3, the conversation just goes on, and I can't react fast enough to take care of it. I'm not sure if that's a PlayStation 4 problem, because I've never seen this on the PS3. I'm not sure. It's probably a glitch or something, but it's happened every single time. I'll hold on to this. I might actually end up on a game over screen in this mission. It's not the end of the world if I do, though, because I rarely ever do get game overs.
What became of Felix? Do you know?
Yes, I know.
And you're not going to tell me?
You'll find out soon enough.
Some of the artwork in here is really nice. And yet there's more Amel imagery of the family crest, more like. Alright. You know what? If Bull gets killed, I don't really care anymore. He's so incompetent, I don't care anymore. He cannot fight worth a damn.
What name is that? Hold on to it. I want to look at it later.
So you have to pick up 5 red lyrium shards. There was one time I tried to get the 5th shard, but it never appeared, despite me fighting all of the necessary enemies to get to that point. Where are you, Solus? Solus! Shit, here he is. Come on, Solus. Barriers, damn it. Good. Alright. There we go. Oh, okay, so a tiny bit of health regenerates. The Andromeda, depending on how they're handling things,
He's barricaded himself in there and will not come out.
I'm hoping there's not going to be any more issues of like your weapons are just dangling out in your hand and it appears in cutscenes, because that's really distracting. It's probably just a little glitch or an oversight or something. That's kind of one of the problems with creating a game that's as hyper-realistic looking as this. Because...
Are they praying? Let's try to take them by surprise.
Whoops. But when you have a game that strives to be so realistic, just the smallest stuff is enough to kind of break immersion. That's generally why I'm not... That's generally why I'm not the most hyped for games that are very... that strive for that kind of realism. God. This is getting pretty brutal.
Doesn't look like the Elder One is interested in saving his followers.
Oh yeah, I got a new trial award. There we go. So with that glitch, only 4 appeared out of 5, and I had to reload the save just in order to complete this part of the game. It only happened once, and I don't think I ever heard anyone kind of reporting that kind of issue. Oh, I miss you, treasure I miss you, supply caches. I miss you so much. Alright. Let's get another...
If we sneak up on him.
Oh, Jesus. this. This is gonna be brutal. One of those few times. Solus, where are you? Shit. Thanks, Bull.
I could really go for some light reading.
Yeah, I think I take it back. I think Solus is being the fragile one this time. Right, what else? I need to check this on my inventory. Oh, I'm doing rather fine, actually. Because usually in this mission, because there's a lot of items you can pick up, sometimes you just run out of space in the inventory. And I think it's a little bit later on in the game when you can expand your inventory. It's one of those perks you can get. Or at least I tend to save it for last, because I like getting some of the other perks taken care of first.
What happened here?
Somebody had very questionable taste.
Alright.
They haven't noticed us yet. Good opportunity to look for higher ground.
Yep. Alright, and... Cowabunga! Shit. That didn't work. Alright. Actually, this is a lot better. Good call, Dorian. Usually I end up coming out the other way.
Sorry for interrupting your dinner.
I usually come out from that door, right where Solus is. Which is not as smart, because then the enemies can pick up on you right away. Actually, no, it's from this area. Okay. Slight difference. Usually there's another supply cache in here, but there's other items to pick up. I do like the sacks because you can get all sorts of crafting items from them. I got a lot of items to sell after this. Crap. Right into this area, but we all have barriers, so this is no problem.
Let's head back to the main hall. I think I know how we'll open that door.
Yeah, there's a couple other guys here, but there really is nothing else to pick up in this area. So I think in here there's a schematic. Yeah. It is a little annoying that the jump button is where the X button is. Although since I've grown up,
Damage did Alexis' spell do?
I've grown up with Legend of Zelda, so I'm used to auto jump.
Starting here, but whether that's his doing or the breach, who can say?
Ah, this next part's gonna be fun, and thus this mission is about to end. Relatively quick mission.
It's over, Alexius.
So it is. I knew you would appear again. Not that it would be now, but I knew I hadn't destroyed you. My final failure.
Was it worth it? Everything you did to the world, to yourself.
It doesn't matter now. All we can do is wait for the end.
What do you mean? What's ending?
The irony that you should appear now, of all the possibilities. All that I fought for, all that I betrayed, and what have I wrought? Ruin and death, that is nothing else. The Elder One comes for me, for you, for us all. Felix.
That's Felix. Maker's breath, Alexius, what have you done?
He would have died, Dorian. I saved him. Please, don't hurt my son. I'll do anything you ask.
You rendered him into a lumpy potato, dude. He's not human anymore.
You didn't save him, Alexius. No one should live like that.
No.
I think out of all the minor villains in this game, Alexius is probably my favorite. I mean, I'm not entirely counting Calpurnia, because she's not really a minor. Well, I mean, she is a minor villain compared to, you know, Corypheus, but she's prevalent enough, even if it's in the background, that she's not really minor. Well, Alexius is just kind of a one-note, one-off villain for one mission. While Calpurnia had a much bigger role to play in some of the background stuff with the game. What's going on in the game. Shit. 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 That was not meant to happen. Alright. Alright. Since I am the most important character, I will not die like this. Alright. Alright, bull. Actually, I think I'm doing rather... God damn it, Solus! Shit. Alright, come on. Get up, get up, get up. Come on. Get up. Damn it. Yikes. It's getting a bit tight. Alright, I need to get in the speed up area. There. Get Bull back up. Alright, come on. There we go. Alright. At least the battle's a third of the way over. Alright, Dorian, where are you? Dorian, where'd you go? Yikes. It's not a good place to be. Alright. Guys, you have revival for a reason. Yeah, screw this. Not enough. Neither have enough. Well, since... Alright. Good to know. Alright. Solus, get up! Get up, Solus! Come on, ball. It's like the companions are aware that they shouldn't use potions. Because... Damn it, Solus. You're made of tissue paper. At least I have two mages with me. Oh god. Alright. Shit. No! I almost got it. I almost got it. No! 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 Damn it. Err. I am usually... This has happened to me a couple times. This has happened to me once or twice. Alright, Solus. Alright, where am I? Okay. That was a little intense. Okay. Here we go. This is the end. Alright. Come on. Get up. Get up, bull. Get up. Almost there. Where are you? Right. At the end. Oh. Whew.
He wanted to die, didn't he?
That was good.
All those lies he told himself, the justifications. He lost Felix long ago. Didn't even notice. Oh, Alexius.
That was rough.
I know you cared for him.
Once he was a man to whom...
Oh god, that was brutal.
Sad, isn't it? This is the same amulet he used before. I think it's the same one we made in Minrathous. That's a relief.
That was really brutal, man.
And I should be able to reopen the rift.
An hour? That's impossible. You must go now. The Elder One.
You cannot stay here.
We'll head out front. Keep them off your tail.
We'll make this count.
The only way we live is if this day never comes. Cast your spell. You have as much time as I have hours.
The soundtrack to Inquisition is really good. This is one of my favorite themes. I think it's called the theme of the Elder One. Or Elder One theme.
Though darkness closes, I am shielded by flame. Andraste, guide me. Maker, take me to your side.
You move, and we all die!
I am so glad that Liliana had a moment of badass.
You'll have to do better than that.
I wonder how much time actually passed in the normal world, I guess. Normal time, I guess.
Put aside all claim to Redcliffe and we let you live.
You won. There is no point extending this charade. Felix.
It's going to be all right, Father.
You'll die.
Everyone dies.
To be fair to Alexius, I can't really imagine the pain of a parent likely losing their child. It's that little touch that kind of makes me like him.
I'm glad that's over with.
Because some of the other side villains just don't really have that kind of punch to them. Or they just have really stupid reasons for being in the game.
Or not.
Grand Enchanter, we'd like to discuss your abuse of our hospitality.
Your Majesties.
When we offered the Mage's Sanctuary, we did not give them the right to drive our people from their homes.
King Alistair, Queen Honora, I assure you, we never intended...
In light of your actions, good intentions are no longer enough.
You and your followers have worn out your welcome. Leave Ferelden, or we'll be forced to make you leave.
But we have hundreds who need protection.
Poor Fiona.
Where will we go?
Poor Fiona. Especially in... yeah, it's rough.
The Inquisition might be willing to take in the mages.
And what are the terms of this arrangement?
Hopefully better than what Alexius gave you. The Inquisition is better than that, yes?
They have lost all possible supporters. The Inquisition is their only remaining chance for freedom.
It seems we have little choice but to accept whatever you offer.
In general, this mission is the most polarizing for your companions. Because champions are just... depending on which choice you make, your companions actually express disapproval.
We would be honored
well, here
to
it's
have you
much
fight
more
as
split.
allies at the Inquisition's side.
A generous offer. But will the rest of the Inquisition honor it?
The breach threatens all of Thedas. We cannot afford to be divided now. We can't fight it without you. Any chance of success requires your full support.
It's a generous offer. I doubt you're going to get a better one from us.
Although I think it's interesting that Varric does not really... he's not moved one way or the other unless he's actually involved in the mission directly.
I will gather my people and ready them for the journey to Haven. The breach will be closed. You will not regret giving us this chance.
There we go. So, even though technically we're kind of near the halfway point of the game, there's still a lot of stuff to do in between in order to get to the rest of the main story. Because you needed about 15 power points in order to get to In Hush Whispers or Champions of the Just. And I believe for the next missions, the need is a lot bigger. I think it was 30 for Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts, and about the same amount for Here Lies the Abyss.
It's not a matter for debate. There will be abominations among the mages, and we must be prepared.
If we rescind the offer of an alliance, it makes the Inquisition appear incompetent at best, tyrannical at worst.
What were you thinking, turning mages loose with no oversight? The veil is torn open.
We need them to close the breach. It's not going to work if we make enemies of them.
I know we need them for the breach, but they could do as much damage as the demons themselves.
Good thing she's not going to sleep with you, Cullen, so no need to worry.
Second-guess our people. The sole point of the Herald's mission was to gain the mage's aid, and that was accomplished.
The voice of pragmatism speaks. And here I was, just starting to enjoy the circular arguments.
Closing the breach is all that matters.
The longer the breach is open, the more damage it does. We should head there as soon as possible.
Agreed.
We should look into the things you saw in this dark future. The assassination of Empress Celine. A demon army.
Sounds like something a Tevinter cult might do. Orlais falls, the Imperium rises. Chaos for everyone.
One battle at a time. It's going to take time to organize our troops and the mage recruits. Let's take this to the war room. Join us. None of this means anything without your mark, after all.
I'll skip the War Council, but I would like to see this breach up close, if you don't mind.
Then you're staying?
Oh, didn't I mention? The South is so charming and rustic. I adore it to little pieces.
There's no one I'd rather be stranded in time with, future or present.
Yeah,
Excellent
pretty much.
Choice. But let's not get stranded again anytime soon, yes?
I'll begin preparations to march on the summit. Make her willing, the mages will be enough to grant us victory.
Yeah, so the revelation about Celine's assassination plot was handled a little better in Champions of the Just, because you actually see, like, in like a room that's like a planning area, someone having like a sign on the bust of Empress Celine and having a dagger through it, I believe, which at least kind of gets the message across of like that's what they were planning to do, and so you're thwarting them in that regard because you got that tip, compared to just someone rambling it off in this mission in Hushed Whispers. Hey, Varric.
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But Red Lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my Red Lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How long does it take for Red Lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
We can't leave a single piece of that lyrium out in the wild.
I'm with you on that. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
I was planning to put my feet up, maybe grab a nap. You?
Whatever I do, it'll be as far from Cassandra as I can get. Things should be
Yeah, I
calm
don't
around
want
here
you
for
to
at least the next
start
hour.
fighting
Take a
out of the
moment
blue.
to enjoy it.
Or something
The
stupid.
world's about to end. I'm sure the Seeker will let us know.
Yeah, so within your heart shall burn, you can just do it immediately, and generally I do it immediately. Because at this point, there's not really much else to do other than explore other areas.
He didn't have much to say about the Grey Wardens.
No.
I'm beginning to think you only changed the position once you couldn't find them.
Yeah,
There's mages all over. So many robes, I bet all of Ferelden lost their curtains. I'll just be the other side of Haven, just in case.
You expected something else? We needed this.
We needed? No, pretty sure that question was never passed my way.
Yeah, Sarah hates magic way more than Bull.
Over there, away from me.
Is the Inquisition what you thought it would be?
Well, you're dragging people together, suppose that's something.
She really does not like me right now.
The sky. Or, you know, ladders.
I'll be back if I need you.
Go on.
Usually I get her approval back. Usually after the next two or three main missions. So it's pretty late in the game by the time she and I are on good terms.
So we have gained the mages. Excellent. They should be able to seal the breach. You are certain you experienced time travel? Could it have been an illusion? A trick of the Fade?
You think Alexius made an illusion of his own life going down in flames?
Point taken. What an amazing gift. It is vital the Inquisition succeed to avoid the future you witnessed.
Most people have trouble wrapping their heads around the idea.
I'm not most people.
I appreciate you talking with me about it, and not being most people.
If you wish me to speak of Elysian fashion, I may be at a loss. Magical surprises I can handle. Speaking of which, you should ready yourself.
For?
This Elder One. You have now interfered with his plans twice. Once at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, and now again at Redcliffe. A being who aspires to godhood is unlikely to ignore such an affront.
Yeah, so think I'm just gonna romance Solus in this run. But I don't think it's gonna end how some people would want it to end. Hopefully there are no Solasmancers watching this, because they might get really, really, really pissed off. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. So I'm just gonna talk with all the other companions, and I'll do critical chain. Ugh, that's not particularly helpful. Then I think I'll do In Your Heart Shall Burn, and I'll wrap this up. So this will be a little bit longer than average.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one listens. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance.
Oh my god, you spoiled brats.
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards. Act like it.
How are we supposed to...
Deal with it. I love it. Really, no matter what you do, someone's always there to bitch at Cassandra. She's like, just shut up. Deal with it.
It never ends. Evidently.
You don't need to tell me that.
I just don't know who told them I'm the one to yell at.
Is it that bad?
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that means. It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
Well, I hope it works. What other choice do we have?
Oh. I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I? I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. You made a decision when it needed to be made. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
We wouldn't be here at all if you hadn't stood up against the Chantry.
You're being kind.
You're discounting your role in this.
Let's close the breach. Then we can say how successful I was.
Funny that she says, oh, I don't disapprove. Even though she greatly disapproves. Maybe she's just saving face. Alright, one last look at any items. Nothing really that I want to salvage.
See reason, Lisette. We cannot stay here.
Nope, I still did not talk to them, because I didn't feel like it.
What does that even mean anymore? Did we declare our independence?
So, that Tevinter guy sent you into the future?
I've got no problem with normal magic, but Tevinter goes beyond all reason.
I know, right? The Vints are always pushing. Anyway, I hope our new friends have what it takes to close the breach. Damn thing gives me a headache just looking at it.
Poor Bull. Poor Bull.
Travel safely.
Yeah. So, I switched to another file, and I think I bought a few extra schematics. Although only one really appears, so no big deal in that regard. Alright, time to go through my inventory. The mass purge begins. Bunch of stuff I can't equip yet. No, that's too weak. Yeah, that's no good either. Alright. 37, so even a Magister Fire Staff. None of these are really useful at all. Swords are good. There, give Vivienne a lightning staff. 53, that works. Usually with the mages, I try to give them a staff that is of the opposite element that I have them specialized in. Which usually means I try not to give Solus fire and staffs that make him use fire magic. Alright. Armor. Oh, and the Vitars, I don't think they appear on the PS3 version, because the graphics are just not good enough to support them. Slightly better than the Hunter Coat. There's nothing else. Scout Mail. No. Goodbye, Carter Coat. 1,000 cuts, that's for Tempest. Warhorn. Shield Bash, because she uses a shield. Critical Chain. Well, since she'll specialize in that, I'll give her to that early. Give Dorian that. Alright, that should be good. So my inventory is probably massive now because I have a ton of stuff stockpiled.
Good.
Okay, good. I didn't lose anything there.
You need something? Let me know.
He does say that every single time. Yeah. Selling all this stuff. The thing is, you don't really make a lot of money in the base game. It's not until you play Descent where you can really earn a ton of coin. I take real no issue with it. Because at this point, I've played through the game enough times that I don't really need to buy a ton of schematics or any sort of equipment. The most I'll buy is just like crafting materials. So with Varric, he can use dual blades, but I mostly keep him with Bianca. And so with Bianca, you have to give her all sorts of upgrades. Which is fine, but there's only so much you can do with it.
I've been meaning to thank you. There are 100 things that need your attention. You didn't have to take the time to help me, and yet you did.
If the history you pursue benefits the Wardens, then it was worth it.
You've proven yourself to be an honorable woman. Principled. I've great admiration for you, and I've never been more certain in my decision to join you.
Yeah, I tend to play nice people whenever I play Dragon Age or Mass Effect. Yeah, there's not much I really want to ask him about.
Nothing right now. Perhaps in a bit.
Because there are times where, honestly, Blackwall tends to have the least amount of stuff to talk about. I mean, it's kind of understandable given his character arc, but it's still kind of disappointing. Although his romance is apparently pretty good, though. So there is that. Alright, who else have I not spoken to? Oh yeah, Dorian is where near Solus. Usually with Dorian, I tend to exhaust his dialogue tree pretty much in one go. But I kind of want to space it out a little bit.
The Inquisition supports free mages.
Lee.
Elves running Halamsharal? Cows milking farmers?
Give me time. I'm sure I'll surprise you.
I suspect that's untrue. Unless you strip yourself naked and allow the Chantry to flog you into repentance.
That's a visual.
I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given Southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
If that means they're anything like you, I approve.
I always flirt with Dorian. It's just
Many mages
fun that
back home
way.
like me.
I'd believe that.
I never fit in. Bloodstains are so difficult to clean, you see.
So we're doomed to a future of blood magic then?
Not at first. But you'd be a fool not to see where this could lead. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed. By inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
I really like chatting with Dorian because it's just like a follow-up to all of the conversations you have with Fenris about Tevinter, and Dorian just gives a different perspective of some of the same stuff.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. Alright, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings.
I really want to go to Tevinter just to see if there's any flying cows.
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
I'm gonna complete this bit of dialogue and I'll move on to Vivienne and keep the plot going along.
The Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on.
There's a lot of other questions you can ask him later.
The circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
Well, Fenris does do it
If you're
too,
not a magister,
to be
then
fair.
What are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're Leitan, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Gotta love it when societies do that. Feeding all sorts of propaganda and stories just so that people can calm down and not actually look at the obvious faults in the system. Hits a little too close to home right now, unfortunately.
Son will be a mage someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all.
Maybe you probably get paid more.
Citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Dorian.
Fair enough.
We'll bring this up.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew.
There we go. Alright. Then we'll talk to Vivienne, where she chews you out. It's relatively high approval with her, so it's not that much of an issue.
If her malcontents are joining us as allies, we need to be prepared. Abominations are inevitable.
Train our people, but keep it a secret. Let the mages think they're not being watched.
I like the way you think, darling. I'll have a word
Glad to
with
get your
Cullen.
approval, Viv.
We are reliant on his people, absolutely. There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
You have a low opinion of your fellow mages.
It's not so much an opinion as grasping the obvious. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
You're preaching to the choir, Vivian.
Because she is speaking some truth.
You told me that you'd see the Chantry
I mean, look at
restored.
Anders.
What about the Circle?
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the Chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns your mind takes.
No, I'm just kissing your ass. Although, if you do pick that option, that does increase the chances of Vivian becoming divine.
The Inquisition appreciates your assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your Illyrium by the end of the week. I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about our arrangement.
This is,
The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well.
This is one little bit of dialogue I actually missed on a lot of my runs.
I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who is she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure Illyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corbin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
How?
Access to
I'm
Illyrium
thinking
makes
if I'm
us
gonna
rather
stream
more
next time, I might
formidable
have
than
to
anticipated.
lower the resolution and see if that, if the pixels on the
Sadly,
screen are a
remaining
lot
Grand
less
Clerics appear to be
bad.
consolidating the Chantry's power instead of comforting the masses.
Jesus, I don't think part of the, I think part of this is my internet connection, but
Mage circles started falling years ago. The Chantry was troubled even before the Divine's murder.
Yet many people continue to bear it great love. We will not benefit from its decline. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevarra, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andraste's chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
I suppose a shared faith can be useful when talking with strangers.
Precisely. And these similar interests are merely where we begin. We must learn to think beyond our own wants to secure peace in Thedas.
I do like how Josephine is quite manipulative, or she's really good at knowing what strings to pull in order to get what she needs. But she's such a nice person in general, it's adorable.
The remaining Grand Clerics sent a missive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
Oh, you really want my opinion?
Will my answer change your reply to the Chantry?
If Leliana, Cassandra, Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
I'd tell the Chantry I was saved by circumstance, not divine intervention.
Yet as rumors your Andraste's herald grow, the Grand Clerics may not believe such a humble reply. A difficult situation, and I thank you for your answer. A good day to you.
I'm kind of glad that whatever you choose doesn't play too much of an impact, but it's still kind of disappointing that they didn't really do it. Alright. I am not doing that ever again. Never again. That was embarrassing. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a save. There we go. I'm guessing nightmare mode is a little bit easier than what I just went through. There we go, perks. I think arcane knowledge, ability knowledge. Yeah. And then this was history. Yeah. So I didn't get.
The man so easily. Perhaps he should try leaving me alone.
I didn't get underworld knowledge because then you would have had an option in the dialogue previously, but I decided not to bother with it. Sebastian. Yeah, we'll send someone your way.
To work?
And what else can I do? Upon the waking sea.
Let's see what we have.
Alright. Alrighty, let's get this done.
The best of the mages are ready, Herald. Be certain you are prepared for the assault on the breach. We cannot know how you will be affected.
This is gonna be a long mission, but I'll quit as soon as we're done with this. I did go through in Hush Whispers a little bit quicker than I normally do, but I'll try to be quicker with this. Okay, whose approval should I aim for this time? I'm not caring too much about some of the side characters to pick up, so I'll bring Varric. Alright. Yeah, I'll bring Dorian. Then Iron Bull. I mean, I know I knock Iron Bull several times, but I do bring him a decent bit in the beginning just to get his approval up.
Mages! Focus past the Herald. Let her will draw from you.
I like it. It's like sword sound effects, but they're using stabs. That doesn't make any sense.
You did it.
If only the game was over at this point. Nope. Ugh, I cannot read French. I have no idea how to pronounce half of that. I took French for about a year back in middle school, and I have not retained any of it. Yep. Probably another one of my favorite tracks is Empress of Fire. Although it's more of a bard song. So it's not, no, an instrumental version is on the soundtrack for Inquisition. I do like the bard music in this game. It's kind of understated.
Confirms the heavens are scarred but calm. The breach is sealed. We've reports of lingering rifts, and many questions remain. But this was a victory. Word of your heroism has spread.
Don't they know I fell into this?
Almost literally.
Perhaps you're too close to judge. We needed you. We still do. We've yet to discover how the breach came to be. And that is only the most conspicuous of our troubles.
And we're not gonna know until Trespasser.
Strange days, and more to come.
That's another thing I kinda hope.
Forces approaching! To arms!
I hope Andromeda actually has a proper ending, as opposed to doing what Inquisition did.
What the? We must get to the gates.
I'm just against the idea of needing DLC just to fix up your own story. I know it's funny because I love Mass Effect 3, but
We have to put up barricades or something.
it is still a legitimate point I do hold against Mass Effect 3, even though it's still my favorite game. Alright. Actually, no. There we go.
Cullen?
One watchguard reporting. It's a massive force, the bulk over the mountain.
Under what banner?
None.
None?
Yeah, you don't really need to go under any banner when you want to attack someone.
I can't come in unless you open.
Hi, Cole. How'd you get way back there?
I'm Cole. I came to warn you, to help. People are coming to hurt you. You probably already know.
What is this? What's going on?
The Templars come to kill you.
Templars? Is this the Order's response to our talks with the mages, attacking blindly?
The Red Templars went to the Elder One. You know him? He knows you. You took his mages. There.
I know that man. But this Elder One...
Hi, Samson. And hello, Cariffi Fish. You were so much better in Dragon Age 2.
He's very angry that you took his mages.
Cullen, give me a plan. Anything.
Haven is no fortress. If we are to withstand this monster, we must control the battle. Get out there and hit that force. Use everything you can.
Mages! You have sanction to engage them. That is Samson. He will not make it easy. Inquisition! With the Herald! For your lives! For all of us!
And I did bring Varric along for a very specific reason. I'm just sad that they didn't continue the joke from Dragon Age 2. Alright. This is one of my favorite missions in the game. In Your Heart Shall Burn. It's a stupid sounding title. It does reference a segment in the Chant of Light, so there is a reason for its name, but it just sounds weird if you don't really know that. I just like the music in this is good, and just the stakes and just the whole mission is just really, really good. In fact, I think, like, I like the beginning part of this game of Inquisition and the ending for the most part. And by the ending, I mostly mean the second to last main mission, what Pride had wrought. So with each main mission, there's a certain level they say you should be at in order to complete it, but I don't always stick with it. It's more of like a recommendation. Although I think there's a point where if you have the even ground trial, if you leveled up too much, then the end game gets really, really easy. Yeah. Bit of a pace breaker that I'm just picking up loot.
We'll reload. You get to the other trebuchet. It is firing.
Yeah.
This way. We must get this trebuchet firing.
Yeah, that guy's just running in the wrong direction. That's fine. I know where to go. Alright. Oh, there you are, dude. You know, one thing I could have done is I would have ran around and picked up, like, the chests and some of the other loot that's around before this attack, but I'm a little bit in a rush. Alright. This is a lot easier. I don't think that trophy triggered, so I guess I'll have to go back to it again later. At least now I know I can actually complete in Hush Whispers, despite a much more difficult gameplay setting.
More incoming. Keep them off the trebuchet.
So the Templars are a little bit harder to fight, because most of them are mainly like warriors or just giant beasts, been corrupted by red lyrium. But, well, the mages are a little more fragile and they're a little bit easier to deal with. They still hit pretty hard, the mages, but they're a lot easier to take down. But that's true with a lot of mage enemies in this game. A graphical little goofy thing there. It's so weird looking. Varric looks so tall all of a sudden. And Varric, that did not work. You're a lot taller than you should be.
Today is now well beyond making sense.
Everyone to the gates!
Aww. The dragon literally came out of Coryphy Fish's ass. Well, at least Varric's staying to stick around. He's planning to stick around, so... At least he wasn't too serious. Alright. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna get that explosive shot. Oh, really? Alright. Okay, come on. There we go.
Just grabbing essentials. Won't die for the forge.
Yeah, a side thing you can do is to rescue several of the villagers. I've done it before, and it's good to get some approval from Varric and Vivienne, but it's not entirely worth it in the long run, because several of those villagers just they don't appear when you get to Skyhold. Which is kind of bizarre.
We need everyone back to the Chantry. It's the only building that might hold against that beast. At this point, just make them work for it.
So it's this along with a couple other minor decisions that seem to be important. That seem important when you're playing the game, but then when you get to the keep, it's not really that important in general. I mean, which makes sense because there's only so many things you can keep. You can keep. Yeah, there's only so much you can do to put in the keep to transfer for future games. And this is such a minor little side quest that it's good for some approval, but there's plenty of other opportunities throughout the game for you to get more approval points for companions. Furthermore, Vivienne and Varric are not really that difficult to get approval for. Varric especially, because I usually don't tend to piss him off that much.
Where is everyone? Hell!
There we go. Get you out of there. Yeah, since I'm doing this well, I might as well just keep going. This next part's a little tight.
You hear that? Survivors!
This is one of the few times where it's good to play a rogue. Just bypass enemies and...
Get it off! It's coming down!
There we go. Sometimes this is a little slow as well. Hope that did not turn out well. Stop yanking all the enemies away from me. Also, it's kind of important to not go too far ahead in that direction, or else you have to... You're under a very short time limit, and most players struggle with the next 2 villagers to save. Because usually what ends up happening is that you're able to save one and not the other. And it's because you have to act really quickly. Alright, here we go.
Hear that?
Alright, there's... 1. Shit. Come on, come on, come on. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Yes!
Harold, what's happening?
Yeah. That was a little tight. But, there we go. Yeah, you're kind of on a countdown because of all that fire. And then it just... The things explode, whichever one explode, and whoever you couldn't save ends up caught in the blast. Then we have Thren. This next part's not that difficult. As long as you're competent at fighting, and this all pays off. There we go.
Didn't expect this from you. Thanks. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a lot of them. Let's go.
I guess just in the end, I managed to get everybody. There, that helps. With Varric, at least.
Move! Keep going! The Chantry is your shelter!
Oh, the one time when Roderick kinda has a character?
He tried to stop a Templar. The blade went deep. He's going to die.
What a charming boy.
It's okay,
Harold,
Cole.
Our position is not good. That dragon stole back any time you might have earned us.
I've seen an archdemon. I was in the Fade, but it looked like that.
I don't care what it looks like. It's got a path for that army. They'll kill everyone in Haven.
The Elder One doesn't care about the village. He only wants the Herald.
I don't care what he wants. How do I stop him?
It won't be easy. He has a dragon.
We know what he... Herald, there are no tactics to make this survivable.
Although if we count that dragon, technically you fight 12?
We could turn the remaining trebuchets
No,
to
13.
cause one last slide.
We're overrun. To hit the enemy, we'd bury Haven.
We're dying, but we can decide how. Many don't get that choice.
Actually, no, 12. I think one is optional. Well, majority of them are optional, but one is optional, narrative-wise.
Can help. He wants to say it before he dies.
There is a path. You wouldn't know it unless you'd made the summer pilgrimage, as I have. The people can escape. She must have shown me. Or Andraste must have shown me so I could tell you.
What are you on about, Roderick?
It was whim that I walked the path. I did not mean to start. It was overgrown. Now, with so many in the Conclave dead, to be the only one who remembers... I don't know, Harold. If this simple memory can save us, this could be more than mere accident. You could be more.
If that thing is here for me, I'll make him fight for it.
And when the mountain falls, what about you? Perhaps you will surprise it. Find a way.
Maybe.
Inquisition, follow Chancellor Roderick through the Chantry. Move!
Harold, if you are meant for this, if the Inquisition
Oh, the
is
clipping.
meant for this, I pray for you.
So much clipping.
They'll load the trebuchets. Keep the Elder One's attention until we're above the tree line. If we are to have a chance, if you are to have a chance, let that thing hear you.
I think this entire mission is just a good way to wrap up Act 1. It's really good.
If there's one thing I know, it's how to get an asshole's attention.
Takes one to know one. Nah, I love Varric. He's not an asshole. He's a smartass, but not an asshole. Alright, where's that archer? Alright. Gotcha, guy. If anything, this section has a lot more punch than the later end of the game. I'm also picking up all this loot because there's potential resource items to give for research, so you can get bonuses on all the enemies you would fight later on. It's stuff like that that I actually do care more about, especially when it comes to the DLC. Although I can't really tell if it made that much of a difference. Some of the DLC is just so frickin' frustrating, even on casual mode. Oh, we don't need a retreat, unless there's a Templar saying that. I'm just not doing well when it comes to the angles of these fights. So, the soundtrack to Inquisition is not the greatest in the world, but I think it's very serviceable. It works for what it does. Because in general, I don't really find the soundtracks for Dragon Age to be very strong. Like, there's a couple tracks here and there that I do like, but they're not really strong. Like, I can't really say with a straight face that Dragon Age has fantastic soundtracks. But I'm... and even Sonic. I mean, different genres of music and all, but you need a good soundtrack that not only just complements the game, but is also at least memorable. And Dragon Age generally just does not have very memorable music. I think Inquisition's music is a little more... slightly more memorable. But even then, there's only maybe 5 or 6 themes that I will go back to and listen on my iPod.
There's your trebuchet, let's get it aimed.
Although since I supposedly am getting the soundtrack to Andromeda when I get it, when my pre-order comes in, I'm hoping the soundtrack's good. This next part. So you have to aim, you go through the sequence about 3 times because a new wave of enemies just comes in to kind of ruin your progress. It's not too bad. It's a... It works for what it does. I mainly just keep fighting everybody so I can get as much experience points as possible. Again, it's better to get experience early, get it done and over with, so that come the later game, it's a lot easier. So the level cap in this game is 27, and usually it's best to beat the final mission at level 20. Usually I'm at like level 21 by that point, although I think there was one time I was at level 23 or 24 when I had even ground on. But when it comes to the DLCs, you have to be in the 20s. Usually I'm all maxed out by that point. And it does help tremendously. I can't imagine playing Trespasser at level 20. I've had a few close calls even when I was at level 27. Although the enemies do scale to you, to whatever level you're at, to a certain extent. So I think it's like once you reach a certain threshold, that's when the enemies are scaled to your level. So I remember when I played Jaws of Hakon, I think I was like at like level 18, but I was... or 17, and I was constantly stumbling into enemies that are like level 23, and I was nowhere near prepared to deal with them. So whenever in doubt, just maximize, just get to the highest level you possibly can, just 27, before you tackle any of the DLCs in this game. Plus, I just think the pacing is also better to save the DLC for the very end of the game anyway. Okay, I lied. It's not 3 times at this, it's 4. Because that's when you have this mission. This final boss. This boss. So, you fight the Knight Captain when you're fighting the Templars here. If you sided with the Templars, the mages will attack Haven, and you'll be fighting Fiona. In fact, that is part of the reason why some players just outright refuse to play Champions of the Just, because they don't want to attack Fiona and have her end up dead. Although on the other hand, if you don't do Champions of the Just, you don't run into Calpurnia, and she's not really mentioned. There's no mentioning of her in this scenario at all, which is disappointing. Although I get the feeling we might see her again. I actually did get me and a couple other friends got in an argument with someone about whether or not Calpurnia will come back. I think she will, because there's nothing really major that happens to her in this game that would suggest that she won't appear again. but because BioWare is known for streamlining some things and thus negating some of the choices you made, it's possible she might not come back. Although she did appear in that Mage Killer comic, so at least she won't be gone for good, I guess. Jeez. How much health? Oh, for crying out loud. You know what? I probably should just play Dorian at this rate. This is really pissing me off. Alright. You know what? Love it that you can't really do anything at this point. This does take a while. I probably should have leveled up a little bit more. Oh well. I'm almost done this. After this, there'll be a ton of cutscenes. I do like that he just plows through his own barrier wall thingy. Come on, Varric. Get back up. Almost done. Almost there. There we go. Fiona is nowhere near as difficult as this. Behemoths are easily the most difficult Templar enemies in the game. Alright. And thus, story continues on as gameplay is put on hold.
Move! Now!
This really is an awesome theme. I love it.
Enough! Pretender, you toy with forces beyond your ken no more.
His voice is really good too.
Whatever you are, I'm not afraid.
Words mortals often hurl at the darkness. Once they were mine, they are always lies. Know me. Know what you have pretended to be. Exalt the Elder One. The will that is Corypheus. You will kneel.
Nope. Bite me.
You'll get nothing out of me!
You will resist. You will always resist. It matters not. I am here to anchor. The process of removing it begins now. It is your fault, Herald. You interrupted a ritual years in the planning, and instead of dying, you stole its purpose. I do not know how you survived, but what marks you as touched, what you flail at rifts, I crafted to assault the very heavens. And you used the anchor to undo my work. The gore.
What is this thing meant to do?
It is meant to bring certainty where there is none. For you, the certainty that I would always come for it. I once breached the Fade in the name of another to serve the old gods of the Empire in person. I found only chaos and corruption, dead whispers. For 1,000 years I was confused, no more. I have gathered the will to return under no name but my own, to champion withered Tevinter and correct this blighted world. Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of the gods, and it was empty.
I just didn't really want to interrupt anything that he was saying.
The anchor is permanent. You have spoilt it with your stumbling.
All talk, unfortunately.
So be it. I will begin again. Find another way to give this world the nation and God it requires.
Because Corypheus is so good at this point in the game. And then the last two-thirds.
I will not suffer even an unknowing rival. You must die.
The next two-thirds of the game just don't live up to this great moment, unfortunately.
You expect me to fight, but that's not why I kept you talking. Enjoy your victory. Here's your prize!
I think this moment's pretty badass when you're playing a dwarf, a tiny little dwarf, just kicking this trebuchet and just talking smack to Corypheus and a dragon. Like, the nerve of that little pint. So, Corypheus was one of the original Magisters that reached the Black City. Really cool concept. The Architect was similar in that regard. Another Magister that went into the Black City and thus started the whole Blight in the first place. Between the two, I think the Architect was just better handled. I kind of want the Architect to come back. In fact, in most of my save files in the Keep, I have the Architect live. Because I just want to see what that would do in future games. This part's pretty quiet in general, because there's just nothing really to do except just wander. Some nice sound effects here and there, but that's about it.
There. Who's there?
Alright. Yep, Mark of the Rift. One of my favorite abilities. Although I try not to use it too often. Because the number of times you can use it depends on how much focus you have, which is a feature that is added at this point. Eek. I like the cold, but not that much. Probably would have been a good time to wear that that armor from Jaws of Hakon. No, it's Spoils of the Avar item pack, I believe. I get everything kind of lumped up because I got this Game of the Year edition, and so everything's just lumped in together. Alright, come on, let's move. It probably would have paid off in the long run if I bought the Game of the Year version or some sort of version of Andromeda that has everything, but oh well.
It's cold. Nothing.
I don't mind spending the extra money for BioWare. Because at this point, they haven't really done anything that's worthy of having my trust destroyed. Although I did hop on board, you know, the BioWare fanbase pretty late. But I certainly trust them more than some other companies. Again, it's EA that I put a lot of the blame on. Now that I think about it, Lavellan and even Trevelyan, I believe, they both come from the Free Marches, so they're really not used to this kind of weather. That's another little detail about Dragon Age I like. It's the opposite of what we're used, what at least I'm used to. Or at least, because in our world, a lot of the major civilizations are on the northern hemisphere, and so there's the thing of like everything that civilizes up north, and it's colder up north. While in Thedas, still to some extent, that civilization is still kind of north, if you don't count Orlais. But it's cold. It's colder the further south you are, so you're in the southern hemisphere of whatever world this is. And it's implied that there is a world much bigger beyond what we have.
It's her!
Thank the Maker!
This section is considered to be pretty cheesy by most people's standards, but for what it is, I like it.
What would you have me tell them? This isn't what we asked them to do.
We cannot simply ignore this. We must find a way.
And who put you in charge? We need a consensus or we have nothing.
Please, we must use reason. Without the infrastructure of the Inquisition, we're hobbled.
I can't come from nowhere.
She didn't say it could. Enough! This is getting us nowhere.
Well, we're agreed on that much.
You need rest. They've been at it for hours. They have that luxury thanks to you. The enemy could not follow, and with time to doubt, we turn to blame. Infighting may threaten as much as this Corypheus. If they're arguing about what we do next, I need to be there. Another heated voice won't help. Even yours. Perhaps especially yours. Our leaders struggle because of what we survivors witnessed. We saw our defender stand and fall. And now we have seen her return. The more the enemy is beyond us, the more miraculous your actions appear, and the more our trials seem ordained. That is hard to accept, no? What we have been called to endure, what we perhaps must come to believe.
One of the downsides to a lot of stories that focus on religion and faith is that they don't talk about, you know, the reasons of why people rely on religion and faith.
I escaped the avalanche.
Particularly in times of
perhaps, but I didn't die.
trial
Of course.
and chaos.
and the dead cannot return from across the veil. But the people know what they saw. Or perhaps what they needed to see. The Maker works both in the moment and in how it is remembered.
That's kind of why I really like the writing of BioWare
Can we
games.
truly know the heavens are not with
And that's
us?
also why I actually like Mother Giselle.
You saw Corypheus.
She does
What
bring
do
up
you
those
think of his
points
claims
that
of
some other
assaulting the
stories and other characters don't bring
Scripture
up.
says magisters to winter servants of false-old gods entered the Fade to reach the Golden City, seat of the Maker. For their crime, they were cast out as Darkspawn. Their hubris is why we suffer blight, and why the Maker turned from us. If such is the claim of this Corypheus, he is a monster beyond imagining. All mankind continues to suffer for that sin. If even a shred of it is true, all the more reason Andraste would choose someone to rise against him.
And above all, it's why I'm glad that the developers have said they likely won't confirm or deny if the Maker is real.
Corruption and emptiness. Nothing golden.
If he entered
It's kind of good that they
place,
left that
it has
ambiguous.
changed him without and within. The living are not meant to make that journey. Perhaps these are lies he must tell himself, rather than accept that he earned the scorn of the Maker. I know I could not bear such.
All of this happened because of fanatics and arguments about the next world. It's time we start believing in this one.
Honestly, I would say that about the real world too. People are so focused on the next world that they don't focus on the world that we have now. It's a shame.
Shadows fall and hope has fled. Still your heart, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky, for one day soon the dawn will come. The shepherd's lost and his home is far. Keep to the stars, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky, for one day soon the dawn will come. Bear your blade and raise it high. Stand your ground, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky, for one day soon the dawn will come. It's all one world, Harold. All that changes is our place in it.
Well said.
A word.
Sometimes I sing along with the song. Most times I don't. Because I can't sing very well. Although Solus standing mysteriously in the background is... God damn it, Solus.
The humans have not raised one of our people so high for ages beyond counting. Her faith is hard-won, Lethaline. Worthy of pride. Save one detail.
The threat Corypheus wields. The orb he carried. It is ours. Corypheus used the orb to open the breach. Unlocking it must have caused the explosion that destroyed the Conclave. We must find out how he survived. And we must prepare for their reaction when they learn the orb is of our people.
All right. What is it and how do you know about it?
Such things were foci. Said to channel power from our gods. Some were dedicated to specific members of our pantheon. All that remains are references in ruins, and faint visions of memory in the Fade, echoes of a dead empire. But however Corypheus came to it, The orb is elven, and with it, he threatens the heart of human faith.
Even if we defeat Corypheus, eventually they'll find a way to blame elves.
I suspect you are correct. It is unfortunate, but we must be above suspicion to be seen as valued allies. Faith in you is shaping this moment, but needs room to grow.
Yep. Going to the new location of Skyhold, which I do like more than Haven,
By attacking
for the most part.
Corypheus has changed it. Changed you.
It's a cool place.
Scout to the north. Be their guide.
I prefer Haven. I preferred Haven when I played the PlayStation 3 version, but when I got to played this on PS4, holy crap. There's a lot more stuff in Skyhold, so it's much more visually impressive than it was on the PS3.
There is a place that waits for a force to hold it. There is a place where the Inquisition can build, grow.
Skyhold is pretty cool. I wonder why they gave Solus that staff in that instance. They're probably just trying to put in some kind of staff, and I guess they just sticked with that one. It's just a nitpick, I guess. But thankfully, now that I'm in Skyhold, I can change my outfit. Thank God. No more beige pajamas. And I won't be stuck in the hinterlands forever. So, the pros outweigh the cons.
They arrive daily from every settlement in the region. Skyhold is becoming a pilgrimage. If word has reached these people, it will have reached the Elder One. We have the walls and numbers to put up a fight here, but this threat is far beyond the war we anticipated. But we now know what allowed you to stand against Corypheus. What drew him to you?
He came after me because my efforts put the Inquisition in his way.
Perhaps in more ways than you've considered.
How much time passes in the game is
Your
up in the air.
decisions let us heal the sky. Your determination brought us out of Haven.
I think it took them about
You
a
are the
month to
creature's
get to
rival
Skyhold
because
from
of what
Haven.
you did.
At least according to
And we
some
know it.
fans.
All of us. The Inquisition requires a leader. The one who has already been leading it. You.
I don't know what to say.
Say that you will not make me regret this.
If you're not sure, why do it?
Because I believe this is what was meant to be. That without you, there would be no Inquisition. What it means for the future, how you lead us, that is entirely up to you.
It is kind of funny watching a skinny Lavelle try to pick up that massive sword. Alright, what am I gonna pick? There's a couple different options. Alright, I'll pick this.
This isn't about a greater message. We have an enemy.
There, I got
and we
some
have to
Sarah's
stand
approval
together.
back.
We'll do what is right. The Inquisition will fight for all of us.
Wherever you lead us.
Have our people been told?
They have. And soon, the world.
Commander, will they follow?
Inquisition, will you follow? Will you fight? Will we triumph? Your leader, your herald, your Inquisitor!
Really, the high points in this game are really good. It's like, it's kind of like the same with Mass Effect 3, when they don't occur too often, but often enough that subjectively you can still say that you really love the game.
It began in the courtyard. This is where we turned that promise into action.
But what do? We know nothing about this Corypheus except that he wanted your mark.
Corypheus wants to restore Tevinter. Is this a prelude to war with the Imperium?
I get the feeling we're dealing with extremists, not the vanguard of a true invasion.
Tevinter is not the Imperium of 1,000 years ago. What Corypheus yearns to restore no longer exists. Though they would shed no tears if the South fell to chaos, I'm certain.
Well, I think Tevinter is going through some turmoil right now in the background.
Could his dragon really be an archdemon? What would that mean? It would mean the beginning of another blight.
We've seen no darkspawn other than Corypheus himself. Perhaps it's not an archdemon at all, but something different?
Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Commanding such a creature gives Corypheus an advantage we can't ignore.
This is another thing that the game doesn't really
Corypheus said he
clarify
wanted to enter
on.
the Black City, that this would make him a god. He is willing to tear this world apart to reach the next. It won't matter if he's wrong.
What if he's not wrong? If he finds some other way into the Fade?
Then he gains the power he seeks, or unleashes catastrophe on us all. Could he strike at us here? We can't have a repeat of what happened at Haven.
Skyhold has the bones to withstand Corypheus. After what you did with one trebuchet, I'd bet against direct attack.
We do have one advantage. We know what Corypheus intends to do next. In that strange future you experienced, Empress Celine had been assassinated.
Imagine the chaos her death would cause. With his army.
An army he'll bolster with a massive force of demons, or so the future tells us.
Corypheus could conquer the entire south of Thedas, god or no god.
I'd feel better if we knew more about what we were dealing with.
I know someone who can help with that.
Yep.
Everyone acting all inspirational jogged my memory, so I sent a message to an old friend.
Yay!
She's crossed paths with Corypheus before and may know more about what he's doing. She can help.
I'm always looking for new allies. Introduce me.
Parading around might cause a fuss. It's better for you to meet privately, on the battlements. Trust me, it's complicated.
Well, then, we stand ready to move on both of these concerns.
On your order, Inquisitor.
I know one thing. If Varric has brought who I think he has, Cassandra is going to kill him.
One little detail about the Inquisitor. They slouch. It's really awkward.
This is the Inquisition.
It's really awkward.
Ruin filled with battered soldiers.
If you shut your mouth and open your eyes, you'd see that the Inquisition is our one hope.
I love that's like the first thing you hear as soon as you get control back. Alright. So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is that if I decide to stream again, I'm gonna start up when I finish recreating that one character, Hawk, of course, I'm gonna spare everyone the trouble of me just tweaking around with her appearance to look a certain way, so...
Majestic. How is a place like this ever lost?
I'm just gonna end it right around here, and if I do another stream, it'll be at the end of me customizing Hawk, so you don't really miss that conversation you have with Varric. But it spares you another, like, 20-30 minutes of me making Hawk look perfect. Alright, I'm gonna end it here. Save. Yeah, new save. Usually I try to have 2, but I'll just have 3 for this. Alright. See ya.